how would you define society?
The way that the way that we usually do, a collection of people with like somewhat unified cultural values, probably bordered by a nation state that like unifies together.
That's a great definition. I would argue that by that definition, which I agree with, there are several distinct societies that exist within the United States. Sure. And each and every one of these societies is willing to use violence and lawfare against those who would threaten their moral worldview.
What does this have to do with the veil of ignorance?
So you're saying in a society, like, who would you want to be? What rules do you want? And I would say, yes, that works wonderfully in a collection of individuals with a shared moral worldview and probably a national border. But what happens when that society is up against another society overlapping on its territories with a completely different worldview?
Well, this is part of how you can engage in the veil of ignorance, is going, well, I don't know who I am in this society, but how do I want that society theoretically to engage in foreign policy? Well, one of them, I would say, is I want my government to protect me as a citizen of whatever this nation state is, because I don't want other nation states coming in, stomping me and killing me and taking my land.
This is more so like, an example that I'll use that's probably the least egregious would be open air fish markets in New York City. I think they're absolutely disgusting, and they shouldn't be allowed.
Because they smell?
It's not just that, it's the rotting fish and flesh that
dump
slops
it out
off.
on the street.
And it just, it's all over the street.
Spray with a hose.
And then it's just rotting for days. And when you go to the Lower East Side, it's just everywhere you go.
Go to Houston.
The people who live there, that's their society. They are largely Chinese and Southeast Asian. They don't care about open air fish markets. But the people of New York have started to move away because they don't like it. And this has created an entrenched enclave. Enclaves are bad, and I believe, having a group of people that form their own subdivision, that have their own rules, is going to create animosity and violence, because you will create two distinct moral worldviews at odds with each other. Now, the reason I cite this example is because it's one of the least egregious, meaning the people of New York don't really care all that much about the open air fish markets. They just move away.
Yeah.
They stopped living in the area, more Chinese people moved in, and now the area is dominated by Chinese. Mm-hmm. But you could take a look at this and bring it to its most egregious, and that is like Chicago crime and shooting violence.
Sure.
So you have areas where there may be a middle-class black family, and gangbangers will come into that territory, or just young black men who are violent for whatever reason they may be, and they will create crime. This will cause the higher income people to flee and then just dramatically impoverish the area and create more crime and violence throughout the area. So then the argument we would make is, what rules do we want? Well, our principles would suggest that you are innocent until proven guilty, mm-hmm. and you should not be searched or have objects seized without, something that warrants it.
Probable reason.
And probable cause. And so what happened in New York is they said, this neighborhood is where most of the shootings and violence happens, so this is where we're going to stop and frisk people. It also coincided with being a black neighborhood. The progressives then said, why are the majority of stop and frisks black? And the government, which these are Democrat-appointed police, said that's just where the crime is. Then they said no more stop and frisk.